So you've never really gotten on with school, formal academics. You are not someone else would consider, super smart. Are you doomed? Can you still end up living a life where you can live somewhere like this? You don't have to follow other people's rules, etc., etc. Yes, unequivocally, yes, you can. And for those that don't know what unequivocally means, yes, without a doubt. You can definitely do that. I jest. I'm not insulting anyone's intelligence whatsoever, but I do have a recent experience that I'd like to share when I was hiring a new salesperson who had gone and invested in his own education outside of school to learn a skill that will pay him lots of money, right? To become useful to a business and to other people. And he had one of the highest ratings of anyone I've ever interviewed until we got into his first day of his trial, where he came with a bunch of questions. Now, bear in mind, we send loads of onboarding training and information, and we make it as clear as possible so that we have to minimize the amount of work that we need to do and maximize the likelihood that they win. Because at the end of the day, I want to help people pass the trial because then they enjoy it, they make loads of money, which makes the company loads of money. Win, 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 right? And he really struggled with the entire process. And this was not the same man that I spoke with, at least not on the outside. And after talking through this, he said, maybe I shouldn't admit this to you, you're about to hire me. And he said, I actually never finished school. I've got no GCSEs, I never went to college, I never went to university. And I said, well, thanks for sharing, and it doesn't matter to me, which is why I've never asked for a CV. It doesn't make a difference. You are not limited in your life because you don't have those random pieces of paper. However, it is unbelievably evident that you didn't attend school talking through this whole process right now because your reading comprehension is really low. Like, he was struggling to understand the meaning behind normal sentences, which is odd because when I was speaking with him, he didn't seem to have the problem at all. At least I wasn't looking out for it, but when it came to here's a set of instructions, follow it, i.e. here's a recipe, bake a cake, he couldn't do it, which was really odd. And then it led into loads of other problems. And now this is just correlative, but then has since had many other issues where he was unable to complete his trial. And it's typical, I have found, for someone who goes through that system, who doesn't attend school, who essentially quits when things get hard, to then have way more problems in life and come up with more excuses than solutions. And so this whole video, I want to summarize for you into, do you need a formal education to achieve greatness in life? Like, if you missed that part of school, if you didn't perform when you were younger, are you doomed? No. Without a question, no. Because you can still achieve the training you need to get to where you want to go outside of that. As example, this guy did who had applied with us. He had gone and paid for formal education outside of the formal education system. And it had evidently shown he was exceptionally highly intelligent with emotion and people and discussion, but not in the areas that school would generally require. And I believe that those foundations will make the rest of your education much faster and easier. And so I would recommend having a good formal education before building on top of stuff, because you are building on top of it, right? If you can't form sentences correctly, you're going to really struggle to work in any workplace. If you can't read properly, if you can't, in this exact scenario, have good comprehension of what is written down and what was intended by that, you're going to struggle in so many other places in life. And so, although the formal education system is poo-pooed upon, many students saying I don't see the purpose behind it, I can tell you from first-hand experience that I am seeing the impact of failing in that system, and I would recommend not doing it. Because as an adult, I can tell you, you probably won't. And then the most likely scenario, if that is you, is that you will end up with a life of other people in that same scenario, which I can almost guarantee isn't the life that you want to live. Otherwise, you wouldn't be watching this video. All right, guys, have a fantastic day. Crush it, all right? You can get there no matter what it is you want to do. but don't skip the groundwork. If there are areas where you need to improve before whatever skill you're trying to learn, don't try and skip it, in my opinion, because it's going to make learning above that much slower and much harder. All right, guys, have a great day. Peace.